Today is the day that I get deliciousness started growing from a bunch of old sticks. Hi, I'm Amy of Hummingbird Hill. Welcome back to the garden. As you can see, it is another gorgeous day out here and it is extremely windy. If it weren't windy, I would be way too hot wearing this sweater, but as it is, the temperature is just about right today. Yesterday I was kind of turning purple when I was cutting my grapevines, so today I decided to amp up the warmth a little bit. As you can see, if you can see that skyline back there, it is just gorgeous in the garden today. The neighbor's herd is wandering about. You may hear some bellowing. The cows were getting excited earlier. But right now, it is time for me to get started turning those grapevines that I cut off yesterday into potential for next year. So the goal today is actually to establish a station where I can turn those cuttings into starts. And I'm going to need to leave those grapevine cuttings in the ground for about a year before I can move them. So I'll start them now, which is the beginning of March, and they'll need to stay all the way till next March, maybe just a little bit past, before I want to move them to where I want them to actually establish themselves. So that is what I'm looking at right now in the garden as far as spacing, because I want to move the raised beds around. I have some other work going down on the south end of the garden, and the fence needs some help. So I have this one little patch of area here by the fence and by my north end of the garden. I've decided, I think, that I'm going to run trellises up on each end of these beds to do my tomatoes this year, because when I single stemmed my experimental tomatoes last year, they got to over 8 feet tall. So I need a lot of space for that, and that's going to create a lot of shade. I don't want to do another whole bed because that stunted some of my tomatoes last year. So I'm playing around with that idea right now, and this open space, even if I flip these beds in the fall, will still have enough room for me to flip the beds and walk around them and leave my grapevines in the ground once they're established. So I think that's what I'm going to get going today. I need to gather my supplies for that, and I also then need to get my grapevines cut into starts. And so the first thing I'm going to do is do a little filming of the grapevines, because yesterday it was so absolutely incredibly windy. The audio is terrible. I'm probably just going to voice over some of it, but there's some places where I want to do a little more close-up. So I'm going to get those filmed, then I'm going to grab my supplies to get my propagation area set up, and then I'm going to take my grapevines into the hay shed where I am out of the wind, and hopefully you'll be able to hear a lot better, and also the wind won't be blowing everything around. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut those grapevines. Again, as I said, I've been wanting to propagate these two grapevines that I absolutely love for years, and I just haven't known exactly how to do it. I mean, I knew I could cut them off and put them in the ground and they grow, but I watched Mike McGarrity's video on grape propagation, and he gave me some very specific tips that I'm going to use. Oh, the wind is getting even worse. There you go. So hopefully you can hear this today. So I am going to use some of the tips he gave me, and I will link his information down below. He's got a lot of really direct, to the point videos, and they were super helpful to me as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my grapes, because like I said, they are literally some of the most delicious grapes I have ever tasted. So I'm gonna get to work and we'll just keep on going. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, yesterday the wind was so bad that anything that I talked about with the grapevines, you couldn't hear it all, and the angle of my camera was bad because I had to use a tripod I'd never used before. So hopefully you can see these better. This is my Niagara grape, and one of the problems that I have is that I didn't really know. I created these cordons, so these are two of the vines that have grown off the original stem, and I didn't really know when I was doing that exactly how to prune properly. And so that is something I'm working on fixing, but I have a lot of good starts along here, and this vine has been doing great. As you can see, the Niagara branches, those are ready to go on the burn pile. I am not going to be propagating those. They're just not to everyone's taste. However, coming down here, these are my delicious, nummy purple grapes. And one of the things that happened here is this cordon is way too short. So I'm going to actually think about establishing a new cordon this year with one of the vines that grows off the main branch. As you can see, I have my sunglasses on because otherwise I cannot see it all. Which was one of the problems yesterday because I could not see the screen. So there you go. So I have 2 cordons again off this branch, and there are all of my vines with their little buds ready to grow up into new grapes this year. And this end, again, did not prune it properly last year, and that's one of the problems that I'm having. Let's go down to my favorite grapes and I'll really show you because I haven't trimmed off one of those. And the wind is getting the cardboard. This one has some shiny on it. I should have taken off. So as you can see here, as I'm pruning, I'm looking for the buds that are just about to grow, and I really want the buds to be facing away from each other. The problem here is this bud and this bud are both going the same directions. I'm going to leave it though because those were the best 2 I had. Over here I've got a bud going this way, here's a bud this way, and I'm taking what I have that was best. One of the biggest problems I encountered as someone who is pruning without really knowing what she was doing is that I let my vines get crossed. So I've pruned them in ways that they grow down, that they grow over each other, and that I have ended up with places where vines are going like this. So I'm going to work on remedying that this year as I'm looking at my new vines. So that said, again, I have 2 nice established cordons here on either side of my main stem, and my main stem is a little twisty because this isn't taut enough. And it's really something that I need to fix. Or these are going fine, I'll fix it with my new grapes. We'll see how that goes. Okay, the wind is crazy, and my thought is I'm probably going to have to voice over all of this, so you'll never see this, but we'll see how that goes, because the sound is likely to be terrible. It's gorgeous out though, so I'm totally enjoying myself in the garden today. One of the biggest problems for me was that as I was pruning my grapevines in the past, I didn't really pay attention to which direction the buds were facing. So as I'm looking at future growth, that is something I really want to address. Also, I only have 2 cordons coming off the main stem. Ideally, actually, I think it would be better to have 4 based on what I've been looking at, and that was just something I didn't really think I could do or pay attention to when I was planting these in the first place and getting them established. So for my vines over on the hill, it's their second summer. It's not too late to establish 4 cordons, and I think that is what I'm going to be doing with my vines on the hill because I think I'll get more production, more points of production, I guess. We'll see how that goes. I don't even know if that's a term. Points of production. Sounds all fancy. In any case, I just want to give you a little more close-up on the grapevines now that they're pruned, and I'm going to head up and grab the supplies I need to get my propagation area set up, and then I'm going to get out of this wind because it is cold, and I'm going to start pruning my vines so that they can get in the ground today. So here we go. Okay, I got my cinder blocks and now I'm back in the garden. One thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about why I wanted to put my grape growing station down at this south end, up at this north end of the garden is because there is weed fabric under the bark dust. I'm going to scrape the bark dust away, and when I put these cinder blocks here, then the grape roots should not grow down that deep anyway in just a year, but there's no chance of them getting into contact with the soil and then growing into the soil. I don't want to have to rip them up by the tops and destroy the roots. So I'm going to bring the cinder blocks in, get this area set up, and then I'm going to get to cutting my grapevines into future potential. Some cinder blocks are lighter than others. Okay, I have got these cinder blocks set up. Some cinder blocks are definitely heavier than others. There are also spiders on them, but that's okay because they're supposed to be outside, so that's fine. I'm still deciding if I'm just going to plant the grape starts in each little hole or if I'm going to make a box. I'm going to think about that, and I may need to look up something before I really get that done. I don't know why I don't have my sunglasses on because right now I cannot see a thing. I'm going to gather up my grapevines and head into the shed where it is less windy and a lot less sunny, even though it is so gorgeous out here today. So I did a little quick film about this last night when I was freezing and before company showed up and I needed to go inside and play Pinochle because that is an awesome game. You should play it if you don't play cards. You should. Alright, I got my cutters, I've got a vine, and what I'm looking for is the lowest viable bud, and there's a bud right down here, but it is too close to where these two vines split off. So I'm going to come right under this lovely little bud right here, and I'm going to do a straight cut just about 1/8 of an inch below. Boom. There you go. And I'm going to count up. I've got 1, 2, 3. Now this vine is probably a little too small. In fact, I'm probably sure it is, but it's really nice, so I'm going to still try it. So I'm actually just going to leave this as it is and see what happens. No, I'm going to cut. So I got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to come up to this bud right here. I'm still going to cut it. And just to show you, and I'll do another one. And I'm going to come about 1/2 inch above the bud, and I'm going to cut at an angle. Now this was a great tip that Mike gave, because now I always know what the top is, because when you have a whole bunch of cuttings and you drop them or something, as he said, how do you know which is bottom or top without looking at every one? It's really easy. This also, when I go to put this into my potting medium, I can press it down from here and I won't be damaging that bud right at the top. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of these right now, and these are my favorite grapes, so I'm doing them first. So again, I'm going to be doing just a straight cut at the bottom of each, right beneath the bud. I don't want to cut through the bud, obviously, or it will not establish itself well. Boom. And then I'm going to come up 1. I don't know if that's technically a bud. 2. I'm going to come up to 3. I'll go to 4 just right now to see. I can always chop more later if I need to. And again, I'm going to make that... which end do I hold? This is hard to talk and do at the same time. I'm going to make that angled cut so that I know which is the top, and that's probably a little high up. This part will die back, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to put that in my pile of sticks done. Now let me pick up this one, because this one again has a lot of nice buds on it, and I think it's probably too flimsy to be a good start, but I don't know for sure, so I'm just going to go with it. It's not going to really hurt me at all to put a bunch of the flimsy ones in one little section of the propagation area, so if something happens to them, I can just pull them out and they won't disturb the rest. So again, cutting straight at the bottom, coming up, and going at a little 45 degree like that. So I'm just gonna do a whole bunch of these, and I don't know how to, I'll figure out if I can angle the camera so you can actually see me do them, and I'll speed them up. Otherwise, I'm just gonna do them, and then I'll come back and I'll show you that they're done. Okay, my favorite grapes are ready, and if this, hold on, and if this is not a pile of potential, I am not sure what is, but I have a battery that is about to die, so I am going to run inside and charge and grab a little snack because I forgot to eat breakfast this morning. So I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to come back out here and work on the other kind of grapes before I get them established in the potting medium. I will be right back, at least for you. For me, it may be a little while. See you soon. Okay, it is still windy as crazy out here. I've got my favorite garden stool out here that I got at a garage sale for, I think I talked them down to $15 from 30, so that was pretty good. Super comfy and great to roll around so I don't kill my back as much as I do sometimes. I also have some sand here, which is what I am going to start my grapevines in. Now, ideally, according to Mike, who I am taking all things as wisdom from because he's got a YouTube channel, so obviously he knows everything. No, the guy knows his stuff. Silica sand would actually be the best, but I couldn't find any in my local stores, so I'm going with what I have. Again, if this doesn't work out this year, I will try again next year, but I'm hoping it works out this year. So I have this, I've got my starts, and I am just going to get these in the ground without a lot of talking because it is way too windy, and I want to get this done so I can get inside and take care of the pug who is pouting because I have spent all day out in the garden and no time with her. All right, let's get going. And again, the phone blows over. As you can see, I may not get anything filmed today if I break my camera, which is actually my phone, so I should probably be careful. I can't even see my face right now, so here we go. Okay, now that I have the sand in the cinder blocks, I need to go get a hose, which means I need to hook up a hose so that I can get the sand wet before I put the cuttings into their places. And then I'm gonna be done for today. So I will be right back when I have a hose. Okay, the last thing I need to do now that I've gotten water sprayed everywhere, including on my seat, which is going to make it harder to get my starts in the ground. I don't know if you've noticed, the donkeys keep coming by to check out what I'm doing. That's Tazaroo. Say hi, Tazzy. You don't care. Oh, I know. You want lettuce. They are very interested whenever I'm in the garden, not because they care about me, but because they love the lettuce. In any case, I am going to take, and I need to get each of these, oh, here we go, and I need to get each of these into the ground, and I'm going to bury them just slightly above the bottom bud. And of course, because I made my tops angled, I know exactly which the bottom is. So I'm going to get those in the ground, and I am going to be done for today. Thank you so much for joining me on another windy afternoon in the garden. I am going to finish getting these all put into the ground, and then I am heading inside to get ready for work tomorrow. I really appreciate you joining me in the garden and on this journey that I am on to try and figure out just what to do with this space that I have the fortune of living in. So if you enjoy being a part of my journey, please click that subscribe button and ring that little bell so that you are notified when I make a new video. I also hope that you'll leave a comment down below, say hello, let me know if you have any experience propagating grapes, because I am sure that I have made 7,500 mistakes today, but the awesome thing is that it is all part of the process of learning. So I hope that you will join me next time when we can do a little bit more growing together.